Welcome to the first episode of Tea Time with the Keeper. My name is Sina Soren. I'm the director of this show, and I'm here today with Brian. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Bryan Libero. I am the producer of The Keeper as well as playing the role of Rostam.
hmm So, Brian, I think the first thing everyone ought to know is that what was it that brought you into this crazy world of theater?
I've pretty much had an interest in theater since I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. I've just always loved the idea of performing and just being in front of people and expressing myself. And then I started taking it really seriously by the end of high school and did 2 degrees, one from John Abbott College, where I did the 3-year professional theater program, and then another 3 years getting my BFA in theater performance from Concordia University in 2012.
Nice. Yeah, fellow alma maters,
Mm-hmm.
both sides. So, nice. What would you say if it's there are different ways of entering the world of theater and different approaches to it. What would you say is yours? What would you say is your background in that regards?
And entering theater in general?
In terms of how you approach theater as an art.
Oh, I guess it's when I take on a project where I have to perform in the theater. There's a lot of things. The things that I have to be aware of is not just doing justice to the character itself, but also being aware that when I perform, that it has to be visible to everyone in the audience, whether it be 10 people or 1,000 people. Everybody has to be able to see it. So it has to be a little bit more grandiose, still realistic, but at least large enough for the audience to see. And it also has to be something that makes them relate. Like, even though they're in the room that you're happening, they're coming with you on the journey throughout the beginning of the play until the end. And you have to make sure that they're there with you at all times.
Yeah, something I was told and I keep saying to everyone else is it's not about it being grander than life. It's about it being as grand as life can be, which can be quite grand at times.
Yes.
Speaking of this play, what was it that first drew you into this thing?
With The Keeper specifically, what I find interesting is that it's an original take on the idea of storytelling. You look at all types of history, whether it be Persian history, in this case of The Keeper, even in like Greek history or Roman history or Norse history, there's always this feeling of ways of storytelling. In Greek mythology, it's about like the hearth, like the idea of like gathering and having storytelling. With The Keeper, it does that within this own particular culture, whether it be Iranian or Persian culture. But I think people can relate to that because even if they don't come from this type of background, people like to be brought in and hear stories or tell stories. And with The Keeper itself, because there's such a vast idea of different types of stories, every single one of them has something that I think people can relate to.
No, you're right, and it's if not the oldest, it's one of the oldest professions in the world, storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that it has a universal appeal no matter what, and that's
Yes.
what unites us as human beings, together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this interest in this manner of storytelling, how does that affected your approach to your character and your role in this play?
Well, it did make me have to do a little bit of kind of like a guided history course because I didn't know enough about Ferdowsi, let alone Rostam, to know like how I was going to approach this. So I had to do a little bit of background research on Ferdowsi's work and how he's influenced not just Persian culture, but in the idea of storytelling in general. And with Rostam, it's very interesting that the biggest relationship that I can see with him is, and I'm sure you will agree, is that the relationship between Rostam and Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
They
Quite the same character.
pretty much the
basically.
same
Yeah.
in the sense of that they both of them had to fulfill a certain number of labors in order to reach their godhood status or proper status. Both of them were born of godly parents, whether it be in the case of Hercules, one godly parent, and so he was more of a demigod.
Yeah.
Whereas Rostam is both of his parents were gods.
I mean,
I
they're not
believe.
gods, In Iranian mythology, you can't really have gods with the introduction of monotheism.
But you know what I mean? They're higher beings.
They're
higher
they're
beings.
what I like to call Ubermen, basically. They're
Right.
just really that grand.
Well, yeah. So like and the fact that they have similar types of labors, like Hercules kills the Nemean lion, Rostam kills, I don't remember the name.
Babar
of the beast.
Dayan.
Babar Dayan, but it's a tiger.
Exactly,
And
it's a
then
tiger,
wears
it's a
the
babar.
and both of them have impenetrable pelts, and they wear them as their own form of armor. And that's what really kind of drew it, as like I can relate to Rostam in that sense because I have another mythological character to base it off of. Obviously, they're not the same, but that helped a lot. And then my own kind of take on it is based on the way the play is written, is that there's a lot of that that's very human. There's a lot of things that are like, he has this sense of duty, and he knows his stature because he's been through so much, and he has a reputation to uphold. And I think lots of people can relate to that in the sense of, like if something goes wrong, how's that going to affect me? And I need to uphold this idea of what people have of me. And if I don't, what am I? Yeah. And Rostam has that for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a conflict of, and not just with grand heroes, but the same thing we're dealing with kings or people in power, is that you have something that's an inherent human part, but also something that makes you above human, and this conflict of trying to put these two things together. You have the power, you have the heart of a man, but the power of nature, the very force of nature. So how do you balance that? You're still a human being. You love, you get hurt, all that jazz. But there is that grandiose things that you need to uphold constantly. You're right. Okay, so any final thoughts or words or anything you want to share with our audience before?
I guess the one thing that I would say is that not only come to see The Keeper if you like the idea of theater and do want to be entertained, but if you really want to engross yourself in a culture that maybe you're not aware of and maybe you want to learn more about, please come and see it, because this show not only incorporates characters like Rostam, who are grand historical beings, but also people who in ways did exist, like Shapur did exist, and it really teaches us about the importance of storytelling and the importance of preserving one's culture. And this play definitely incorporates all of those things. And I think if that's the one thing that I hope people get from this play, it's got to be that.
I appreciate that. I think you've got a good point there. All right. Thank you very much. Remember, you can buy your tickets for The Keeper right now. The show opens on February 27th. We hope to see you there.